Good day everyone. My report is all about methods of fertilizer application. And I am Mr. Gilbert C. Espinosa, your reporter for today. Our lesson objective: the students shall be able to discuss the different methods of fertilizer application. What are fertilizers? Fertilizers are substances containing chemical elements that improve the growth of plants. They give nutrition to the crops. Fertilizers do not only assist in increasing yields, but also promote healthy growth and development of plants. They contain nitrogen, which acts as a growth booster, which can be characterized by the green color of plants. Phosphorus substance in fertilizers aids in the faster formation of seeds and root development. In order to get maximum benefit from manures and fertilizers, they should not only be applied in proper time and in right manner, but any other aspects should also be given careful consideration. Different soils react differently with fertilizers application. These fertilizers are available in solid granules and are fully soluble or partially soluble. Fertilizers are also available in liquid form. The modes of application, solid and liquid fertilizers, differ. Solid fertilizers application method. These are the different application of solid fertilizers: broadcasting, placement, band placement, and pellet application. The content of our discussion: first is broadcasting, second, placement, third, band placement, and fourth, pellet application. Broadcasting. The broadcasting refers to spreading fertilizers uniformly all over the field. It is suitable to crops with dense stand. The plant roots permit the whole volume of the soil. Normally, broadcasting increases application of high doses. Insoluble phosphatic fertilizers such as rock phosphate are used in this method of application. There are two types of broadcasting of fertilizers: broadcasting at sowing or planting, basal application. The main objectives of broadcasting the fertilizers at sowing time are to uniformly distribute the fertilizer over the entire field and to mix it with soil. On the other hand, top dressing. It is the broadcasting of fertilizers, particularly nitrogenous fertilizers in closely sown crops, like paddy and wheat, with the objective of supplying nitrogen in readily available form to growing plants. These are the different disadvantages of broadcasting. The main disadvantages of application of fertilizers through broadcasting are: nutrients cannot be fully utilized by plant roots as they move laterally over long distances. The weed growth is stimulated all over the field. Nutrients are fixed in the soil as they come in contact with a large mass of soil. Placement. It refers to the placement of fertilizers in soil at a specific place with or without reference to the position of the seed. Placement of fertilizers is normally recommended in small quantity of fertilizers application due to poor root development and low soil fertility and phosphatic and potassic fertilizer requirements. This method is preferred. The plow soil placement. In this method, fertilizer is placed at the bottom of the plow furrow in a continuous band during the process of plowing. Every band is covered as the next furrow is turned. This method is suitable for areas where soil becomes quite dry up to few centimeters below the soil surface, and soils having a heavy clay pan just below the flow soil layer. Deep placement. It is the placement of ammoniacal nitrogenous fertilizers in the reduction zone of soil, particularly in paddy fields, where ammoniacal nitrogen remains available to the crop. This method ensures better distribution of fertilizers in the root zone soil and prevents loss of nutrients by runoff. Localized placement. It refers to the application of fertilizers into the soil close to the seed or plant in order to supply the nutrients in adequate amounts to the roots of growing plants. The common methods to place fertilizers close to the seed or plant are as follows. First is drilling. In this method, the fertilizer is applied at the time of sowing by means of a seed cum fertilizer drill. This places fertilizer and the seed in the same row but at different depths. Although this method has been found suitable for the application of phosphatic and potassic fertilizers in cereal crops, but sometimes germination of seeds and young plants may get damaged due to higher concentration of soluble salts. Sided dressing. It refers to the spreading of fertilizer in between the rows and around the plants. The common method of side dressing are placement of nitrogenous fertilizers by hand in between the rows of crops like maize, sugarcane, cotton, and many more, to apply additional doses of nitrogen to the growing crops, and placement of fertilizers around the trees like mango, apple, grapes, papaya, and many more. The band placement. It refers to the placement of fertilizer in bands. There are two types of band placement of fertilizers, and these are stated. Field placement. It is practiced for the application of fertilizers in orchards. In this method, fertilizers are placed close to the plant in bands on one or both sides of the plant. The length and depth of the band varies with the nature of the crop. Row placement. When the crops like sugarcane, potato, maize, cereals, and many more are sown close together in rows, the fertilizer is applied in continuous bands on one or both sides of the row, which is known as row placement. The pellet application. It refers to the placement of nitrogenous fertilizer in the form of pellet 2.5 to 5 cm deep between the rows of the paddy crop. The fertilizer is mixed with the soil in the ratio of 1:10 and made small pellets of convenient size to deposit in the mud of paddy fields. These are the advantages of placement of fertilizers. The main advantages are as follows. When the fertilizers is placed, there is minimum contact between the soil and the fertilizer, and thus fixation of nutrients is greatly reduced. The weeds all over the field cannot make use of the fertilizers. The residual response of fertilizers is usually higher. Utilization of fertilizers by the plants is higher. Loss of nitrogen by leaching is reduced. Being immobile, phosphates are better utilized when placed. Another application method is the liquid fertilizers. Liquid fertilizers and water-soluble granular fertilizers can be applied in different ways. These methods are shown through following classification chart. We have starter solution, foliar application, fertigation, injection into soil, and aerial application. Starter solutions. It refers to the application of solution of nitrogen, phosphorus pentoxide and potassium oxide in the ratio of 1:2:1 and 1:1 and 2 to young plants at the time of transplanting, particularly for vegetables. Starter solution helps in rapid establishment and quick growth of seedlings. The disadvantages of starter solutions are extra labor is required and the fixation of phosphate is higher. Foliar application. It refers to the spraying of fertilizer solutions containing one or more nutrients on the foliage of growing plants. Several nutrient elements are readily absorbed by leaves when they are dissolved in water and sprayed on them. The concentration of the spray solution has to be controlled. Otherwise, serious damage may result due to scorching of the leaves. Foliar application is effective for the application of minor nutrients like iron, copper, boron, zinc, and manganese. Sometimes, insecticides are also applied along with fertilizers. Injection into soil. Liquid fertilizers for injection into the soil may be of either pressure or non-pressure types. Non-pressure solutions may be applied either on the surface or in furrows without appreciable loss of plant nutrients under most conditions. Anhydrous ammonia must be placed in narrow furrows at depth of 12 to 15 cm and covered immediately to prevent loss of ammonia. Aerial application. In areas where ground application is not practicable, the fertilizer solutions are applied by aircraft, particularly in hilly areas, forest lands, grasslands, sugarcane fields, etc. In this method, considerable amount of fertilizer is lost. In a very special case, this method is adopted. Fertigation. The combined application of water-soluble solid or liquid fertilizers with irrigation water through pressurized irrigation system is known as fertigation. Generally, nitrogenous fertilizers such as urea and other ammoniatic fertilizers, easily water-soluble, are applied along with irrigation water. The fertigation increases yield, minimizes soil and water pollution. This also saves fertilizers. Therefore, it saves foreign revenue, as these fertilizers are expensive and imported from other countries. There are three methods of fertigation. The three principal methods are used for the injection of fertilizers or soluble chemical into micro-irrigation system. First is the pressure differential. Second is the venturi or vacuum. Third is the injection pump. The pressure differential. In the pressure differential system, the tank is under pressure, usually mainline pressure. A pressure difference is created by a valve and pressure regulator between the tank inlet and outlet. A sealed airtight pressure supply tank is required to withstand maximum operating pressure. Precise control valves are necessary to maintain a preset injection rate. The pressure differential device is cheap and simple. A wide dilution ratio can be attained with no source of external source of energy. The nutrient cannot be precisely regulated prior to each application. The tank has to be refilled with fertilizers. Fertilizer tanks are made up of mild steel. These tanks are powder coated with more than 7 micron thick deep blue-colored epoxy polyester from both inside and outside surface for protection against corrosion and weather effects. The Venturi injection method. Suction of the fertilizer solution is generated by water flow through a constricted passageway. The high flow velocity of water in the constriction reduces water pressure below atmospheric pressure so that the fertilizer solution is sucked from an open tank into the constriction through a small diameter tube. The process of injection in fertilizer solution can be explained by Bernoulli's principle. These are the advantages. Very simple to operate, no moving parts. Easy to install and to maintain. Suitable for very low injection rates. Injection can be controlled with metering valve. Suitable for both proportional and quantitative fertilization. And these are the disadvantages. Creates considerable pressure loss in irrigation pipeline and sometimes a booster pump is required. Quantitative fertigation is difficult. Automation is difficult. The fertilizer injection pump. In this method, a pump is used to lift the fertilizer stock solution from the storage tank and inject it under pressure in a pipe carrying irrigation water. The injection rate can be set to create a desirable mixing ratio. The fertilizer solution is normally pumped from an unpressurized storage tank. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.